Boldness Africa.
Michael Folorunsho Babatunde.
I'm delighted to be here for a lot of reasons. This place is the building block for practically everything that I do today. Can someone please help me clap for Mr. Wisdom? I appreciate you for giving me this platform to speak here today to share my story. A story which would have never been, if someone like yourself and Mr. Lawrence Shea has not given an opportunity to work in a place like this and learn how it is done. Thank you very much. I do not take this opportunity for granted. All right. Unlike most of our speakers, I will be using my phone, and the reason is I want my thoughts to be as organized as possible. This is because I have the tendency to think faster than my mouth. So you have to bear with me. All right. So I will start this way. The theme of this year's conference is of particular, fascination to me. And the reason is because if there is somebody you can describe as ordinary, that doesn't really have any reason. I have 1,001 excuses not to succeed, right? If there's someone you can describe as so ordinary, it should be Michael Babatunde, right? But of course, against all odds, I've been graced to have a platform like this to speak with you today, right? So why do I say I am so ordinary? I was born and raised in a remote village in Oyo State called Ofiki. I was born to a poor widow who was already in her 50s before she gave birth to me. I attended local authority primary school, Ofiki. I'm not sure most people are familiar with local authority primary school, but LA, thank you, my people. That is where I came from, right? I was brought to Lagos at age 12. And when I came to Lagos, if you went to LA, you will know the teachers in Yoruba. When I came to Lagos at age 12, I could not speak Jack in English. So that was where my English education started. They gave me all sort of names. Because I didn't understand the language of instruction, I was always carrying second to the last. It wasn't because I wasn't brilliant, because I get the highest in marks, but I didn't understand the language of instruction at all. So they gave me names like Baba Oyo, Baba Ibadan. The funny thing is that when they were saying all of those things as a kid, they wouldn't know they are prophesying. Because truly I am Baba Oyo, Baba Ibadan today. Right? So another thing that you should know is just 8 years ago, I was broke and broken. I was a grown-ass man squatting in my parents' house in Idimo, right? Before I joined Pertinence 8 years ago, I was a chemistry teacher in Idimo earning 20,000 naira per month. Also, 8 years ago, just shortly before I joined Pertinence, my biggest prayer point is for about 3 months straight, right, was so that I can buy a phone and a laptop. 8 years ago. Funny enough, Mr. Wisdom might never know this. The job at Pertinence was an answer to that. Because the first day I came to Pertinence, they asked me, what do I need to work? And I said, phone and laptop. And Mr. Wisdom instructed Mr. Jeffrey to bring it to me. That day I had phone and laptop. Thank you, sir. Okay, just 5 years ago, I had to work for about 10 months, save all I could save to afford 1-bedroom apartment in Ibadan. If you know Ibadan, houses are not as expensive as they are in Lagos, but I had to save for 10 months to be able to afford that. So that is how ordinary I am, right? If there is anybody in the audience that is probably in that shoes right now, or has gone through that shoes, or you're probably somewhere trying to figure out something, I want you to know that we gather day. Somebody say we gather day. We gather day. So, but it is truly possible for ordinary people, ordinary men like you and I, to do extraordinary things. And that is what this whole thing, is about today. Do you believe that? It is truly possible for people like you and I to do extraordinary things. I'm sure you've heard a lot of stories upon stories today talking about ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Mine is another story, to add to this little discourse. So I like to start today by pointing out some of my own greatest barrier, to doing extraordinary thing. And the greatest barrier I faced personally was self-limiting belief. Somebody say self-limiting belief. Self-limiting belief. And this is, it is, I have a good excuse to abort this self-limiting belief and not move and not do what I am capable of doing. I was given birth to, if I talk about the circumstances of my birth, my mom was in her 50s. She was past menopause when she gave birth to me. This woman has 6 children. The husband is late. She wasn't planning to have any child. There was no plan to have any child. The husband is late. How would she have a child? 8 years down the line, I like to say it in a very jovial manner, I think one of the husband's friends, in the process of consoled my mother to the bedroom. And that is how this young boy was formed. Every of my siblings bear the surname Agbola. My own surname is Babatunde. I'm sure this is the first time my niece my nephew that is recording me is hearing this story. All right. So the first challenge I had to face was serious identity crisis. Where do I belong? I wasn't wanted from my mother's side. I was not wanted from my father's side. And I feel that this is a significant crisis that, cause a lot of things causes unbelief, which are what I'll speak about. I feel that this is a major thing that needs to be dealt with if anybody will climb up to achieve, the impossible. So what are self-limiting belief? They are thought convictions that you hold about yourself. It restricts your potentials and prevents you from achieving, major landmark goals. It's a negative mindset, acts, internal barriers, often based on fears, past experiences, and social conditioning, all right? So examples, a lot of us, whether we don't even say it consciously, at the subconscious level, we have beliefs like, I am not good enough. Is there anybody here that thinks at some point that they are not good enough? We have believed that, someone else can achieve the success. Who am I to achieve success? To him for success, right? We have believed that, how will I be able to do that? How will I be able to achieve that kind of a thing, right? We have beliefs like, people like me don't succeed. Despite all of the proofs that you have that someone like you is capable of making significant strides, right? We have believed like, I am too old or I am too young to get all of these things done. These are a lot of self-limiting beliefs that come based on our the neural pathways we've created in our life. I'm saying this big grammar because I took time. This was a serious matter for me because I took time to study what the root cause of the issue was. Self-limiting belief, right? So, where do they come from? They come from childhood experiences. I've mentioned mine. I've mentioned some of my childhood experiences. Some of the childhood experiences that I've not mentioned is the fact that on days where my mom was a trader, my father was a teacher, I was poisoned at age 4 by my stepmother. Yes, so this is the twist. My father is married to another person. My father has like 6 daughters, has never had a child. My father had this code night thing with my mother, and they gave birth to a boy. So that was a major conflict. And if you come from places where I come from, it's something to have a male child. So all attempt was made, to get rid of me at a very tender age. I mean, God help me, to be here today. So childhood experiences, there are seasons, there are times where we have to hawk all sort of farm produce that we produce in our farm. I hawked ewedu as a young boy. Kerosene, they call me Baba Ilekpo Ago. I go from street to street as a young boy after school, hawking kerosene, right? It could also come from negative feedback from people. It could come from, a lot of people in your environment are telling you you can't make it. They are telling you you're not good enough. So you internalize this negative feedbacks. I'm telling you where this neural pathway came from because I had to sit down to study it, right? It could come from cultural or societal expectations that you are not falling into. It could come from past failures and traumas. But why do they matter? Why am I even talking about it at all? It is because this self-limiting belief, they stop you from taking risk. Let me tell you something. I have given a lot of public speeches. It took a lot of self-talk to be here today. Yes, I have dealt with the self-limiting belief over and over again to a level where, I've gotten to a significant, because I wouldn't be able to achieve the level of success that I have without overcoming that self-limiting belief. But an iota of it still exists. So for the iota that exists, it means that whether I like it or not, I will make my moves and I will do whatever I have to do with that, little that remains. All right? So why the matter is that they stop us from taking risks. They stop us from pursuing opportunity. Speaking at TEDx Africa is an amazing opportunity. Self-limiting belief could have limited me from coming here today. That's the truth. Despite my plenty achievements. If I tell you things, I'm 33 years old by the way, and if I tell you the level of things I've been able to do within that time span, you will marvel that this kind of person and is still having that level of consciousness. Are you getting what I'm saying? But it can't stop you. That's what I'm saying. That's the root of where we're going to. So, it was the greatest barrier. You create the neural pathway when you think or learn. So how do you, let me paint a scenario to you. A poor man's child. I think this is not only a barrier to me, it's a barrier to a lot of people. I've seen a lot of brilliant individuals that fall short of expectations simply because of this deeply seated, self-limiting belief. It's not a conscious thing. It's at a subconscious level. It's become an automated mechanism in you that you are constantly playing below your potential, right? Simply because you don't, something happened in your past and you are yet, to forge, ahead of that. So let me paint a poor man's child scenario. We've had a lot of stories of, poor men children here. I think this place is full of poor men children. Yes, so is there any poor man child here? It's not a crime to be a poor man child. The question is, will you be a poor father or mother? I'm a proud poor man child. So, poor man child scenario. And I'm talking about this neural pathway, right? Pastor Chris uses a demonstration. He used it recently that I saw on social media. And it was that a lot of kids growing up, especially kids that grew up in Ajegunle, Miss Blessing. All right. They grew up seeing people at the other side of the road and they say those ones are rich. We are poor. Right? They are rich. We are poor. Don't go to their house. Don't play with their children. Oh, they are rich. We are poor. And that thing gets said over and over again. It gets into a child consciousness so much that before you can spell your name, you are reeking of poverty. Yeah, that is what happens, right? So most of us grow in an environment where everything we see is poverty. Our parents are poor. Our neighbors are poor. The church we go to, poor. The school we go to, poor. The pastors, poor. Our teachers, poor, right? Some of us grew up in that particular environment. So much that before we can spell our name, we're already reeking of poverty, right? But a rich man's dilemma is totally different. A rich child dilemma, right? I got to the university and some of my rich friends were discussing ideas that they will, when they want to talk about ideas, when I bring my idea that I want to do this laundry, I want to run this small business, they don't think in that frequency. They think big because the list of things they've seen in their life is probably within the trajectory of billions. Do you get what I'm saying? So how do we cross over? Let me move very quickly so before we can do this. How do we cross over? There's a good news. The brain is plastic. We can train our brain. Do you get what I'm saying? We can reinforce, just the same way we learned those negative things, we can reinforce and learn positive things, right? We can change the neural pathway. We can rewrite the stories in such a way that we'll feel better, we'll think better about ourselves, and we have the push to go and achieve those things. You are more than enough. Somebody say, I'm more than enough. I had a rumor a few years, I'll handle this story. I had a rumor a few years ago that changed my life forever. And that rumor is what brought me to Pertinence Group. I was volunteering. I was juggling 2 jobs when I finished the university. I was teaching in a secondary school and in 20K, and I was volunteering with the Entrepreneurship Academy of Calvary Bible Church. And while doing that, I had a rumor. The rumor is that there was a young man, and this young man, he came from nothing. I'm sure we've heard the story of Pastor Wisdom today. I heard the story, in a different version, and that young man has been able to achieve this, has been able to achieve that. Pastor Wisdom, you inspire me in ways beyond and I want you to know that this story was part of what made me come to Pertinence, right? So I heard the story and I was like, every business I've done in my life before now, the margin has always been 100K per month, or the revenue. I couldn't think beyond that. It came from the self-limiting belief. It came from the neural pathways that has been created. The richest man in my house when I was 15 years old was a shop owner. He was selling boutique. So how could I think beyond that? How could I think billion was possible for me? Do you get what I'm saying? Then I heard the story. And the story was that this man came from the East. He came to learn trade, and so thing happened. So we've heard the story of Pastor Wisdom. And when I heard that story, the first thing I did was to go and confirm it. So I went to a young man called Prince. He was the one coordinating Entrepreneurship Academy. This story they are saying about, because they were saying it in a negative manner, that boy is now proud now. He think he have money now. So this story you are saying, I need to confirm it. And Prince told me the story. And I was like, this person, whatever they are doing, I want to know about it. Prince told me the direction to your office. I came the next day, after that Sunday, the next day I heard that story, I came to your office to join the marketing team. I didn't have the 10,000 naira. They said we were to pay. We're in the other streets, Shobo Wale Abi. So I came to join the marketing team. And while I joined the marketing team, I met one Madame Nick, a very nice woman. She was the one that taught me a way to be able to join the team without actually paying the money. The way was to recruit somebody, which I was very, very good at. I went back to church, recruited 2 people, brought them that day. They paid their own money. I didn't need to pay mine. But the real story is that as I started, learning, I started observing these people. And when I came, I met Mr. Olonshei too, another dimension. Ordinary people doing extraordinary things. I was extremely inspired that I knew that I needed to do more than being a salesperson. I made up my mind that I was going to volunteer in Pertinence. And that coincided, the time I made up my mind I was going to volunteer to just do anything. Few weeks later, Prince told me that there's an opening in Pertinence, that they need a social media manager. Wow. I applied, he told me that Sunday, the next Monday I came to Mr. Wisdom and I got the job. Let me tell you, the life-changing experience for me was coming to this place to learn. I believe all of the speakers today have said, you need to learn. All right. So it's about describing what I do. I left this place to start a real estate company, and I'm sure that you guys have heard most of the stories that Mr. Afolabi told us. I mean, most of the things that happened on my journey were very, very, similar to that story, right? I started a real estate company after I left here because I could practically take word for word what they did. I started also in a small cubicle in a place called Bashoro in Ibadan. I had to borrow money to rent the shop because I was in 0 levels at the time I started. In quick 5 years, I have been able to do all of these things. We have about 11 estates to our name. Then, while doing it, I found my place in agriculture, right? So I tilted much more, significantly towards agriculture. And today I'm a farmer that some of the sizes of my farms are like 20, 30 villages joined together, right? So I can tell you for a fact that you can do great things regardless of wherever you started from, regardless of whatever your limitations are, regardless of whatever the obstacles are, and particularly regardless of the limiting mindset you might have. So in dealing with limiting mindsets, how many minutes do I have, sir? Okay, in dealing with limiting mindsets, one of the major things that everyone has spoken about here today is vision. You need a vision that will overwrite whatever notion of yourself you had before. While drawing out a vision for yourself, make sure that you don't consider your size, your present size. Your size will probably be the level of resources at your disposal. Is inconsequential. Your size will probably be your skill level. Is inconsequential. Dream big, right? And think about things that nobody has ever done before, within your. And when you dream big, another thing you have to do is to craft this vision, write it in a story form that you can say it to yourself as if it has happened. You are tricking your mind. What you're doing is you are creating a new neural pathway. I said the brain is plastic. You are creating a new neural pathway, that helps you to actually overwrite whatever has been there before. I want to end on this note, regardless of what your limitations, what your challenges are, you are capable of doing extraordinary things. Don't let anybody, don't let any circumstances stop you from reaching out to the peak of your goal.